Hi, our presentation is Death Penalty and Racism. As you can see here, formal killings by the state have experienced a pendulum swing in public support since it was first used in 1608. The death penalty as we know it was enacted in 1976, coinciding with the first stages in building the prison industrial complex we live with today in the United States. Next, we'll take a brief look at capital punishment on a global scale. In 2016, 23 countries were known to have carried out judicial executions, and in the same year, 1,032 executions occurred, a 37% decrease from the previous year. This figure does not include the estimated thousands of executions carried out in China, which treats data on the death penalty as a state secret. In 2016, 4 countries, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Pakistan, were responsible for 87% of the world's confirmed executions, with the United States ranking 7th in the world. Capital punishment is currently authorized in 31 states by the federal government and the U.S. military. Lethal injection is currently the primary method of execution in all 31 states that have capital punishment. Texas was the first state to use that method in 1982. In recent years, New Mexico, Illinois, Connecticut, and Maryland have legislatively abolished the death penalty, replacing it with a sentence of life imprisonment with no possibility for parole. The Nebraska legislature also abolished capital punishment in 2015, but it was reinstated by a statewide vote in 2016. Additionally, courts in Delaware recently ruled that the state's capital punishment law is unconstitutional. States across the country will continue to debate its fairness, its reliability, and the cost of its implementation. In 1981, Stanley Tookie Williams, co-founder of the notorious street gang the Crips, was convicted on charges of homicide and robbery and placed on death row at San Quentin Prison in California. After the first few years of his incarceration, he began to evolve from a dedicated gangster to an outspoken and prolific anti-violence activist and author, whose works targeted inner-city youth with messages of hope and an insider's condemnation of thug life. With his formidable OG status, Williams was able to both relate to and reach an isolated population of youth who tend to join gangs, with a reality check based on his own well-documented experiences. One of his books, Life in Prison, earned him a nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize as well as a fervent international following. Ignoring calls for clemency, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger signed the order for execution, and Tookie Williams was put to death by the state in 2005. Putting aside any arguments on the morality or the social cost benefits of the death penalty itself, did Tookie Williams die because of his race? For example, if the founder of a violent white biker gang found massive regret and redemption in prison, became a crusader for nonviolence, dedicated his time to at-risk youth outreach, and then earned a Nobel Peace Prize nomination in the process, would he still have been killed? Or would he have remained alive to continue his provenly effective writings and outreach techniques from prison? Contrary to what people may think, most of the people put on death row are white. A study done at Florida State University by Gary Kleck about racial discrimination and criminal sentencing found the death penalty has not been imposed in a fashion discriminatory towards blacks in the northern U.S., though this was not the case in the South. However, when it is a black offender and a white victim, crimes are generally punished more severely than crimes involving other racial combinations. What can we do? Here are a couple of good suggestions here. Jury duty, show up, and speak up and vote. Thank you for listening to the presentation.